for training purposes and how the demo goes and what your setup is and things like that. Okay, that's the demo version. Just to get some idea, just give me a second. I would like to uh, get headset because you're on the phone. Give me a second. Yeah. So, what's the setup there? I had a look at your LinkedIn profile. You're doing a lot of amazing things. Just want to be sure that we are on the same page. If you don't mind telling me what the background is, what this system is going to be used for, and what will be your role, Randy? Yeah.
Institutional commercial, where we put a lot of samples for colleges and universities and then larger corporations.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And then the third division is the one where we use this primarily is rooftops on homes and smaller businesses.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Um, I still run a small solar business here, but about 8, 9 years ago, we ran a fairly large installation team and sales team, and at that time there was nothing available in the market as a sort of a business platform for solar installation companies. So we tried to modify things like Sugar CRM, Zoho, whatever. But we found it a lot easier to build something our own. So we built over a year a system for our own use, and then people said, "Look, there's nothing like it. Why don't you make it customizable and configurable so others can use it?" That's how this came about. I still think this is probably the only business platform for rooftop solar companies. It's not so much, honestly, for solar utility size companies, not the megawatts and ground mounted farms. It's more for mass installation companies. For example, here in Australia, about 30% of the houses have a rooftop solar, fairly large size, 5 kilowatt and above. Uh, and there are some companies who install 5,000 systems in a month. So it's for that kind of a large consumer um, business. There's nothing like this, honestly. So I don't know where U.S. market is in that space in terms of mass residential installation systems. And what are you using right now, Randy, for your business in managing these solar installations?
Well, we've been kind of bolting it together with different pieces. I was actually starting to look at building one, and then Travis, who runs our operations, found you guys, and I was couldn't been happier to find you. Because I'd rather benefit from other people's pain than my own. So,
Yeah, it was a misadventure, I must say, because initially we got excited and put a lot of people and a lot of money into it, and it's been over 7 years now that we've been supporting it. So one thing I can say is it's widely used, well tested, and the solar industry has gone through heaps of changes in Australia in the last 8 years, and we're still able to accommodate the industry changes. Just to give an example, every smart sales rep in this country ends up opening a solar company. And large companies tend to fold up because of the vibrancy and the competition and um, that's how the nature is. So we're able to still meet the industry demands of this rapid changes in the market. So I hope we can meet your requirements on this.
yeah, to go back to your earlier comments, I would say the U.S. is probably about 10%, where you all are 30, and we're probably trailing by about 8 years. But the growth is starting to come pretty quickly.
Yes.
People recognize, begin to recognize the value proposition. I think the other thing about the U.S., like there, national companies, you have a few that got a pretty good foothold.
Yeah.
But most of them are more down by state type approach,
Yep.
which is what our approach is.
Yeah.
And so it's one where we would expand it right now. We're pretty much concentrated about 3 states.
Okay. Yeah. And how big is the sales team or installation team out there with you?
Sales team's about 6 right now.
Cool. Okay.
So, we know the value of having a very comprehensive CRM program. It's really going to be what we're going to need to be able to accommodate the growth we're expecting. So,
Yeah.
which is very important. But, I think that there's several things that we want to kind of figure out with your system is capable, and we're going to be really excited. Not that we're not now, but from what we can do design wise to what we can do with the CRM system and how we can make certain services available or not available.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, up front, I'll let you know that this is not an engineering design or a solar array string design kind of a system. It's more of a managing solar specific leads in the hundreds and shooting proposals in hundreds and managing orders in the hundreds. That's where it comes in really handy. Here, it's a legal requirement that every site has a specific site-specific solar proposal, depending on the panel orientation, depending on the location of the house, and all that stuff. So, and you have to give financial modeling for that particular site, depending on how you put the system. And therefore, proposal becomes a legal document, binding document. Therefore, that's how we built this. Earlier, we had about 20 odd sales reps in just one city, and they were all spending too much time trying to send a proposal out to a customer. And obviously, they would also want hot leads every day. They wouldn't look at the previous proposals and all that usual stuff. So that's how this came about. So I will just give you a quick overview here. I hope you can read this. I hope you can read the screen there, Randy, the dashboard.
Yep, we can.
Yeah.
I got a big screen.
You got to make sure what?
I said we've got a big screen, so we're good.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So at the top here, you see the links. It starts the dashboard home page, and then it moves on from the leads to quotes, orders, installations. This logical progression in the business. And this screen here gives the snapshot of the business. For example, what used to happen here at least was once the orders come in, there was a long pipeline of approvals, site visits, finance approvals, and so orders used to get stuck in the installation. So we had to look at the top here how many orders are in the system. In this case, for example, it shows 37 orders, total 178 kilowatts. By the way, this data is test data, so people key in all sorts of numbers here. So our numbers themselves may not make sense. I will show you, however, from a live system. For example, the business that we run here, this is a small solar business here, and there are 228 orders, 1.2 megawatts and 29 kilowatt this month. So if you look at the live system, it makes a lot more sense. But this test system here may not make a lot of sense in terms of numbers, but gives you an idea. And these statuses, you can define them. Small businesses may only have about 4 statuses, saying, for example, completed, hold, not okay, install, okay, install. And if it's a bigger business, it may have 10 different statuses once the order comes in. So this is more like a snapshot of the orders. And the calendar allows you to see 4 different types of activities. For example, a sales appointment, quote follow-up, and there's installation. There's also something called a task management. So if there's a task due on a particular day, so if you click on a day here, you'll see a number of appointments as by the category here. On the right side here is the kind of a ticker tape. It continuously shows the latest comments put in by various people, whether it could be a salesperson putting comment on an order, or an installer, or a back office team. For example, here somebody has put in a comment saying plans completed and installation documents are pending. So these are particular order specific notes, right? And the installation tells what jobs are planned this week, how many of them, how many kilowatts planned next week, installed last week. So that kind of helps organize stocks for next this week, and if it was installed last week, what the collections are. And this is the kilowatts trend by month, and it also looks at locating all the um, sales appointments or the orders on Bing Maps, so you can combine leads of a geographical area, assign it to a sales rep, or if there are orders, you can combine them and assign to an installer. The way the system works is it's completely what's the right word? It can be outsourced, the whole operation. The way it works here, at least, is most companies have the salespeople outsourced who work on a commission basis. Most companies have installers who are independent contractors. They work per job. So system allows you to shoot appointments to sales reps, assign jobs to installers, and communicate with the customers, and a whole lot of things like that. So it helps to see how the jobs or appointments are located on the map, so you can group them and send them.
Can you do that? Can you do that with installations too?
Yes, of course we can. Yeah, yeah. For example, I'll show you on a live system here. If I go, let me see if there are. In this here, I could map the leads or map the quotations for follow-up, or you can map the orders. If I look at the orders to be mapped, it will show, it's loading up. Okay. On the right side, you see all this is Victoria State, therefore you see a lot of them grouped in Victoria, but you can open them up and locate a number of jobs, and you can, for example, you can look at these 3 jobs and tick them here on the right side, and at the bottom here assign them to an installer. You would have a number of installers here. This is a regular installer, and different companies, you can assign them to one particular installer. That's how it works. If I go here back now, the biggest cost, as we see in the solar business, once it establishes as a routine business, most costs are known in terms of the hardware costs, in terms of the installer costs, and the commissions for the sales. The biggest risky cost is the cost of leads. And so we developed very extensive lead nurturing, lead analysis. For example, here, um, there are so many source of leads, and this gives you a mix of how the lead source come together. And then most important is when a lead comes in, initially it sits as a new lead, it gets assigned, then it's maybe quoted, it may convert into a sale, or it's a dead one. So this gives you a picture of how many of what's a mix of your leads. If too many of them are sitting in the new, that means they're not being assigned to sales reps. So it gives you health of leads mix. And there's a number of graphs, but I don't think we'll be able to go through all of them today here. But gives you a trend of this. You don't see numbers here, but gives you amounts to be collected from the customers on the installed jobs. And then here it gives by sales reps what the kilowatts are, and by months what the trend is. Um, and this gives the trend on the installation. For example, if I go here and let me see if I can go back here. Are we making sense so far, Randy? I'm just waiting for the screen.
Yes, you
are. I'm just waiting for the screen to load up. I didn't see much of the solar background on your LinkedIn profile. So it's not in that list, is it? Of the, oh, it's loading up here.
Yeah, we haven't put much on LinkedIn, so
Okay.
that's still forthcoming.
Anyway, so that's loading up there. So I'll go back here. Sorry.
But
Yeah. Leads is, if I go to the leads here, is pretty much like any other CRM where you have list of leads, and the only difference is it allows you extensive segmentation of the leads. You can really nurture them by segmenting them in many different ways by the basic things like region, sales reps, appointment status, source. So there's a number of ways of segmenting it so that you don't really lose track of any source or any bunch of leads. You can also identify them if they're coming through different temporary promotions. You can tag them as identifier 1, 2, 3, so you can pull all the leads. I guess the key thing is when an appointment is set to a sales rep.
Is this the input screen in the customer, or is that
Come again, sorry?
reporting screen? I bet you just answered it by going to this.
Okay.
Screen off is what I was going to ask.
Couldn't hear you, Randy. Sorry about that.
Right, so we're good. This screen answers what I
Oh, okay, cool.
what I was going to ask.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, the difference here is the lead checklist is something that a solar company can develop, which is very specific to solar industry, not seen in any of the CRMs. Is you can build a specific qualification list, which is very specific to solar industry. For example, what's the energy bill? Who is the provider of the electricity? Are you a homeowner? Is a roof shaded, not shaded? And you can build a number of these checklists that are very specific to the way you run the business, and that becomes very handy when a sales rep is assigned with an appointment and he's got all this stuff, including the map. And then when you assign this to a sales rep, he gets a notification. I'll just show you like this. Oh, sorry, this is an invoice. I didn't. I'll show you how the notification is sent. Okay, this is the appointment I sent. When a lead is assigned to rep with basic information, and it allows the sales rep to log in on through his email, so he can straight go into the CRM and see who the customer is, and he can call up looking at the roof and make some comments here. And if the customer is ready to be quoted, you can create a quote right here. For example, I go here and create a quote for him, and this will show you how quickly you can build a comprehensive proposal. The lead data is transported here, and I go to the basic step. Let's say the customer has 40 kilowatt hours kind of consumption on an average. So this builds the savings. It says based on the roof location, which we didn't go into, it says the efficiency is 93%, and he requires 13.94 kilowatt. Let's say we round it up to 15 kilowatt. And you can do depending on the kind of a tariff that customer is paying, you could do a weighted average tariff or a time of use tariff. And if there's a feed-in tariff like we have here, 20 cents, and if the system is exporting 40%, and if you think the inflation is 2% for tariff, this is the way the savings look for the next 25 years, and this gets added to the quote. I'll show that in a minute. And let's say we pick a system which is 15 kilowatt, and if you have defined packages, in this case there is one package defined for 10 kilowatt, I'll pick that. But you could do on the fly custom product because customer wanted a specific brand of panels and inverters, so you could do that, or just pick one here and it shows what the product is, what the cost is. And I go to the sorry, I'm just maneuvering here. I'm trying to see how quickly I can show you a code generation. And there's also an advanced financial projections that can be built using again different set of assumptions, which gives all these kinds of graphs over a period of 25 years. This is again site specific. It gets added to the code. I'll show you how that looks in a minute. Okay.
And this would all go into proposal?
Yes, Randy, sorry, can you repeat that, please? And I go to the next step. I mean, it allows you to add and remove costs, and then allows you to give discounts either in dollars or percentages. But I will skip and show you how the code looks. And again, this code is customizable. So this is the final screen. It will ask you, see if it's okay to send. When the code is sent, it looks like this. So that's the contract. That's the quote, goes to the customer. Again, this whole thing is customizable. It's got the basic information about customer, product, pricing, the savings forecast we saw, and what the efficiency is, what the payback period is, and then the roof layout if you have the layout, and then the basic proposal. It also has a contract which would look like this, which is again customizable. Uh, you can upload your own terms and conditions, but it comes with the basic terms and conditions. So the code is sent. There's an issue here, I think. Okay.
So there is ability to customize some of this, right?
Yes, and for example, you can now. So the customer has moved from the leads to quotes here. So I'm in the quotes screen here. So here it allows you to modify the code, create a new one, and or you can resend the code. And if the customer is happy, you could place order based on this code. So it moves him from the quotes to the orders. I will show you how this particular one looks. Yeah, I think we saw this. Yeah. So then it moves. If I place the order, let's say I place the order for this customer, it asks a few basic questions before putting it up in the orders. I'll see if I can run through that. So there are, we had some customers, solar companies, I mean, using about 200 users. So it can handle high volume. Okay, tax type. It does allow you to set up different state level and federal taxes. But the biggest thing I found was this: if you know the costs at this stage, you could upload all kinds of costs here. But generally, what they do is cost one is used for hardware, cost two is for installation, three is for commissions and sales and marketing costs, and so this helps you calculate the at any micro level profitability of the job. The biggest issue in the solar industry is, as we know, I've actually personally managed about 3,000 installations. So every job is different, and unless we have a good control on the costs and margins, it can be a very challenging task. So, but anyway, I'll skip and put this through in the order. And so he moves from quotes to orders. So this customer has moved to orders. And once you're here, this is where the project management feature of the system comes into play, because this is where most of the time customers spend on the platform. So you can really micromanage this, what we call here process control or a sales stages. You can define 5 to 10 or 20 steps that you may go through in executing this job. It helps control the execution, particularly if you got 100 jobs in your pipeline. You ought to be able to look at again different segments or different groups of orders in different stages. So it helps tremendously in those areas. And if all good, you can assign this job to an installer. It pulls out available installers, and let's say I assign this to Martin Rodriguez. He gets a notification with a complete set of job pack. When we say job pack here, it may be the same thing there as well. There is a job pack. Okay, print order summary. So it would look like this. So this is the kind of a job summary that gets sent over to the installer with information on the customer, product, whatever, and also complete comments. So when the installer has a full set of documents and the communication between the various parties around this job, it gets printed here, so he is aware of all the background of the job. What I was going to show you here is okay, here you'll see the cost, but I guess the key thing that I wanted to bring to you is when you are in the summary level here, if you look at what we call a sales stack, this is the one, it brings up the financial aspects of the business. For example, in this particular screen, you see 174 jobs, totaling about $500,000, and these are the various costs and what's the dollar per kilowatt margin for this number of jobs. Again, you can do a very detailed segmentation of this. For example, if you look at one state, in this case it's showing Australia, so I look at profitability by state, profitability by jobs completed, or profitability by sales agency if we have what commissioned sales agents or group of sales reps. So you can look at who is giving more average profits as margins. So that we found very, very useful. And similarly, when the job is assigned to installers, it goes from orders module to installation module. And this is where you look at each job and look at printing invoices and the, let me just see. Um, it's a print job pack. Okay. That's all, we saw that already. Sorry. So we move this. Okay, here we would say, I think in the orders print invoice. So it'll take you to invoicing module. It has integration to a couple of financial accounting systems, like here the popular one is Xero and MyOb. So we have integration with those two accounting systems. What it doesn't do also is that doesn't look at the inventory, because what we know here in Australia, 90% of the sales solar companies do not hold inventory. They get the order, assign the job to the installer. Most often, installer goes to a wholesaler, pick up the kit, and goes to customer site. So that again, that's a natural evolution of what's happened in the industry. That reduces the cost of operation. Therefore, your margins get better, and the whole industry is structured in such a way that you don't need to hold stocks. There is a whole lot of reporting tools available here. You can define any number of reports. For example, I'll just show you how this one is built. So it pulls out this report based on the orders module. You can pick a whole lot of fields from the orders module, and you can schedule the job to be run. And again, you can select what kind of orders details do you want, and then it looks at scheduling it. Do you want this report daily, weekly, fortnightly, monthly? So the automatic reports come to your inbox. That helps a lot in when you have a lot of jobs pending. And then in terms of users, the way it is structured is there are about 8 different uh, types of users. I'll show you here. There's administrator, sub-administrator, installers, sales agencies who manage sales reps, lead generators under lead agency, and there is a warehouse manager. So this administrator, of course, has access to all the data. Sub-admins, basically, you can allow them to access only the sales or installation data or leads data. So that kind of a marketing managers tend to have access to leads and quotes, whereas the admin people tend to have access to all the orders and all the installation kind of thing. So you have a very strict access restriction so that data is secure. And then you define your packages here under products. For example, the one we saw, 10 kilowatt system is defined in this way. 10 kilowatt definition of the package, panel brand, inverter brand. So you could also use this to quote battery packages in the box here. That's one way of defining. And also you put the price at which you want this package to be sold. Oh, I need to check this. There's also logs which allow for security reasons. All the changes made to the orders module get logged here. So there is a trace of updates made. I guess the key thing which makes this system configurable is this where you define all your processes. For example, in the leads module, you want 5 different statuses. In the orders module, you want define the process steps, and you set up your templates here. For example, the code template would look like this, which you can. This is where you customize this, put your own pictures and text and all the stuff. Um, and so you set this up, you set your whole business here, your tax levels. And the other thing is right from the leads to the end, you can manage documents. For example, the first contact, you would have collected documents like site pictures and energy bills and whatever. And then as the business progresses from leads to orders, different documents come into picture. When it's installed, you would have different set of documents. So it will manage the documents on the cloud. Web to lead form is something that the solar companies have websites, and customers coming to the websites, if they fill in an inquiry form, it comes to the lead comes to the CRM. A few other things. Yeah, this is where you set up your business and finance. I'm trying to see what else I missed. Okay, so that's about a quick. Yes, yes.
Do we have can we set up like where you guys web to lead form? Can you set up 2 of those? Like if you have an outbound and then an inbound, is that possible?
It's mostly inbound. Inbound in the sense if customers come to the solar your website and key in the form on your website, it comes in here into CRM. I don't know what's outbound.
Right. Well, we have them come in, but then we have an ongoing call system that follows up on and talks to them. I was just wondering if we could set up 2 separate ones and so we can manage both of them that way.
You can do the bulk. We have what is called a bulk upload here. For example, if you have an outbound call center or a process, you get a bunch of leads every day. It can be uploaded here as a batch upload. And the live upload is from the one I showed you, that web to CRM. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. There's also, I couldn't locate on this test module here, there's a conversion efficiency calculator. So if you got 5 sales reps and you assign them about 100 leads to different people, it maps out the conversion efficiency of the sales reps. And I can't show that in the test report here. And that's another powerful tool that becomes useful when you have a lot of sales reps and a lot of leads being pushed out to the reps.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. So how are you? That's about a quick overview. It takes a lot of maybe a couple of hours to really go through individual screens of. Yeah. So how well does it match your current process at the outset? Obviously, you got to look at a lot of details.
Yeah, I think it's pretty comprehensive. I've got 2 people in the room with me. One kind of runs the lead system and management administrator of that.
Yeah.
And I have Travis who does all the installation side. So see if they got any questions.
Yeah.
I was just also wondering as far as customizable, as far as like doing the site survey and to bring pictures. We can also import pictures in on each lead, right?
Yeah, you can. You can, like for example, if you go to a lead here and I look at this, and you can upload any document that are applicable to this particular site at the initial stage. You go here and you go documents, you upload the documents of different kinds. Again, when you set up the business, you can identify or tag different document types and allow access of certain document types only in certain modules. So that's possible. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yes.
said earlier.
Yeah, because the whole lot of information that you collect in the initial stage, like for example, the copies of the bills, in local condition here, the rate council rate notices and local regulatory body documents, so they go in the first stage. Whereas in the installation stage, you would
Right.
have more like installation pictures and finance documents and contracts and things like that. And it also
Correct.
allows you to digitally sign the contracts. For example, here you go at the bottom. Oh, it's not here. You can digitally sign the contract. I'll show you how it works in the business that I run here. Let me see if I can show you a contract that comes through digitally signed. Here you go. When a customer signs a contract, everybody in the company gets a notification like this. This is digitally signed contract. This is a live document that came in yesterday, and that's the signed contract, digitally signed at the bottom here, and it updates all the systems. So as a business owner, I love seeing this coming through into inbox, signed code contract.
Awesome.
Yeah,
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 that's great.
yeah. And that also, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to confirm with you on the lead side. So when we go in, we're going to be creating a customer on that tab. Would we be using just the one format for the incoming and outgoing? I got a little confused when Randy had this question for you. Would it be two separate modules, one for incoming and one for outgoing leads, or is it going to be all in one?
I have to understand what you mean by incoming and outgoing, honestly, because that could mean different things to different people. The way this is structured is you could have four different lead sources. For example, an outbound call center, or you have inbound.
Right. I think a better way is we get leads up, and then we got outgoing calls that are following up those leads,
Yes,
set up appointments or judge interest, that kind of thing.
yes,
So we want to be able to track not only the marketing campaign that brings the leads in,
yeah, yeah.
but we also want to be able to track the following up.
Well, that'll all be here in one module. But when I say one module, if I go back to the dashboard here and look at more details, and now I'll go into the dashboard of the leads module. Just give me a second. It's loading up. So if you define lead source into outbound 1, 2, 3, 4, inbound 2, 3, 4, I go into the leads module here. It has more extensive lead source here, but they all go into one pool of leads.
Okay, but I mean,
You don't know from an English standpoint.
yes,
You still,
because we have leads that we'll be putting into the database that are coming in from site inquiries.
Yeah.
And also calls that are being made outbound from
well,
that.
on this, correct me if I'm wrong, but on this box lead source, we can pretty much define those brackets.
Absolutely, yes, yes. You can define all the lead source and also lead status. Like these are not,
Yeah.
these are definable by the solar companies. There is a document I'll send you later on as to how to set up segmentation of your different source of leads, inbound, outbound, campaign based, and all the stuff, and it'll help you.
When we go to do the setup, is there some type of tutorials or directions on?
Oh, there is an online help throughout the system, like you see here, help for this page. There will be an element of online help, but initially we spend a fair bit of a time to work with the solar companies to make sure that the setup is right.
Okay.
Yeah. The one that I didn't cover is, let me just see.
What's the pricing on this?
If you look at the website, it has a per user based pricing. It's something like $70 per month per user. But what we are doing now is we are setting up. Let me tell you this. So what people were doing, because they were paying per user, they were not using the installers, they were not using the lead agencies, so they're not really using the full platform. So now we do 5 user, 10 user, and 20 user platform package price. So it could be something like $400 per month for a 5 user, or $500 for 10 users. So we can work that out depending on your setup.
Now they did have a deal on that. It was I don't know if it's a teaser rate or what. It was unlimited for $290 a month.
Yeah, we have that unlimited quote unquote for small, medium, large companies. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So we fall under that.
yeah. Okay.
I would like to hear comments from you on this quotation model, because that's the heart of the whole thing, and also the orders management. I understand CRM typically tends to focus more on the leads, but I think this is more of a business management platform than a leads management platform.
Well, there's the two things that really interest me, Billy, is on the reports, and then two is the proposal program.
Yeah, that's cool. We could have, if you want, a detailed demo by module with my staff back in India, and take you from there.
Everything else you need to say? No? Yeah. I think we're good there. I think we just need to get a proposal cost, and we'll make a decision pretty quick.
Yeah. How many users right from the leads, like you said, inbound, outbound leads, source centers, sales reps, installers? Would you have, let's say, 10 to 20 users?
We would probably 11 or 12.
Yeah, 12. Okay, well, we could use 10 user pricing at $400 per month.
Okay.
And we
Can
would
we get back to you on that?
we would be flexible on that. Not we wouldn't hold 10, because people do add installers and lead sources and like that. Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay. We'll get back to you here shortly.
All right. Any other comments, Randy? What do you see as a feedback to us?
No, I think we're good.
That's good. That's good.
We'll get
Excellent.
back to you here 4 days in.
Oh, beautiful. Look forward to talking to you again.
By the time you probably get your actual off.
It's a pity we couldn't use the computer audio, because I'm using the telephone line. It may not be the best.
I really appreciate your time and appreciate you getting up so early to be able to do this for us.
No worries. My pleasure.
We'll be back to you shortly.
Talk to you guys. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye-bye.